Hello and welcome back to Rongmar. In today's art lesson we're taking a look at Japanese writing. Our goal for today is to understand what calligraphy is and to try and use some for ourselves. Have you ever seen Japanese writing before? Maybe you might have seen it on a t-shirt or on another piece of clothing. Or maybe you've watched an anime that had Japanese subtitles. The Japanese writing system is very different to ours. They don't have an alphabet. Instead, they've got a collection of symbols. Some of these symbols represent a syllable, the hiragana characters. Or, sometimes they can represent a whole word. These are the kanji characters. There are over 50,000 kanji characters in the Japanese writing system. But luckily for you, if you go to school, you only have to learn the 2,136 most common ones, called the Joyo kanji. Not only is the writing system different, but even the books are different too. Take a look at this Japanese book. It's a little bit different from an English one. How do you think it's read? What's different about a Japanese book? Pause the video and write down an answer. Well, Japanese is not written or read from left to right, like an English book. Traditionally, Japanese is written in a format called tategaki. This way, characters are written in columns going from top to bottom. And the first column is actually on the right-hand side of the page. When you get to the bottom of the column, you continue at the top of the next column to the left. So reading Japanese books is pretty much entirely opposite to the way that we would read an English text. There's something else special about writing in Japanese. There's a whole art form that you might have seen before that's based around writing in Japanese. Calligraphy is the art of decorative writing. We have calligraphy in the English language as well. It's usually very fancy and very carefully drawn letters and words. In Japan, there is a special type of calligraphy known as Shodo, and it is an extremely important and traditional part of Japanese culture. It's a really highly skilled job that needs a very steady hand and a lot of patience. To create a Shodo, you need some pretty specific equipment. First, water is poured onto an inkstone. Then, an ink stick is ground against it to create a liquid ink. The best ink sticks are between about 50 and 100 years old. Then you're going to dip a thick-tipped brush into the ink and create the characters on a special piece of paper called washi. But Shodo is more than just the marks you make on the page. There's also a very special way of sitting and of holding the brush. You have to kneel or sit up straight without leaning on the back of your seat or being too close to the table. The brush has to be held in the center using your thumb, index finger and middle finger as if you were holding a pen or a pencil. And it has to be held straight and your hand cannot touch the paper. And that's just the sitting. Then actually making the characters is extremely difficult too. Each character is made up of lots of different strokes, which need to be created very accurately, in a certain order, and in a very specific direction. It takes a long time, and lots of practice to learn how to read and write these characters. Some kanji characters are made up of 29 different strokes of the brush, for just one character. Usually, kanji characters are between 7 and 13 strokes. So let's see how good you are at creating some of these kanji characters. Make sure you have a pencil and a piece of paper. Or if you want to get really fancy, take out your inkstone and your ink sticks and let's get started. The first character we're going to look at is this one here. It means big. To draw the character, you have to move in a certain order in a certain direction. The red dot shows you where to start each time. The blue arrow shows you which direction you should move in. Pause the video and take your time to write this character. Pretty easy, right? Well, we did start off with an easy one, so don't get too confident. Let's move on to the second character. This character means life. This is a little bit more difficult. But remember, you start on the red and you follow the blue arrow to get the direction. Remember, it's very important that each stroke is in the correct direction and the correct order for it to be authentic. Pause the video and give this kanji character a try. That wasn't so bad, was it? Let's go for one last one. This one means learn, a very important word. You might have noticed that there's quite a few more strokes in this kanji character than the last one. Take your time, pause the video, and create this character. You'll be opening up your own Shodo shop in no time. I think you're ready to start practicing some Shodo of your own. Our goal for today's lesson was to understand what calligraphy is and to use some Japanese calligraphy of our own. You're ready now to try the practice activities down below and start making your own Shodo. That's all we have time for this week. Till next time, take care.